Hello, everyone. Today is March 17th. My name is Dan. I am the delegate from BH Call Intake, aka the call center. For those who don't know, we do have a call center here at Butler, and I got out of negotiations today, and I'm making a video about my thoughts and opinions on what we went through, how things went. I've made a couple of previous videos privately that I gave to my department, and was asked if I could broaden the scope of these videos and make it a resource for the rest of the members to tune into. I do need to make it clear that these are my thoughts and opinions. I may be a delegate and I represent people, but this isn't 1199's official, content. This isn't, I'm not speaking on behalf of all the other delegates, because I wouldn't want to. They have their own voices, and this is no substitute for talking to them. You should still go talk to them. They can better articulate what's going on with your department's concerns. This is just sort of, me, my analysis, and however valuable that might be to you is up to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through what we did today, which was mostly their reactions to proposals that we gave them on March 12th. And we're going to go through our reactions to some of the very few proposals that they gave us on March 12th. And then after that, I might talk a bit about like what the sort of tone and the themes were of this meeting. So we gave a significant amount of proposals in the last negotiating session. Now, these are non-economic proposals. We are hoping to really start getting into the economic proposals this coming Thursday. But that doesn't mean that these, in a previous video, I had referred to these as a lot of small changes, which maybe on a surface level is true. But I think something to keep in mind as we go through is that every one of these is a problem that, more than one member has definitely brought up, right? If we've taken the time to, build out a proposal based around it. And so, I think something to keep in mind is how they feel, how management feels about these problems that we are bringing to them. And I think that'll become evident as I kind of go through it. So we're going to start with kind of the two biggest ones out of this, in my opinion. These are the biggest structural changes that we want to make to this contract. One of them is that we want to combine all four of the contract books into one contract, right? We are one workforce in one hospital under one union, one contract. And we did a lot of work, we made sure to include any of the specialty language from the other contract books that needed to get into this one contract. And it's very readable. It's nice that you don't have to, it's one resource to access. It allows the membership to have a much more wieldy understanding of the contract. Because it'll apply to everyone. Their response to this is no, we don't have to do this, so we're not going to. Which we felt isn't really a reason why not to do it, and so we pressed them a bit more. So what is, the operational reason? What is an issue, that maybe we can, work around, if you feel it, and they simply, just stated they don't have to do it, so they're not gonna. Which is, it's not much to work with. It's not a position. It's just an obstinance. And it actually got quite a bit heated that quite a bit more heated than I'm putting on. They got quite upset about our insistence that we would really like a reason, and actually walked out 8 minutes after we had started this negotiations. They cooled off a little bit, a few minutes later, and came back, and we continued. Um, and so we'll get to the second part of these two big changes, which is that we are proposing a 2-year contract. This is very important. The way I feel about this is that, we look over the last 4-year contract, the fact that they won't do market surveys, they did nothing to address, the rampant inflation and market, fluctuations. And where that leads us is that we don't have trust that they can handle a 4-year contract, right? That's what these legal, this legal language is about, is that we don't have trust. So we have to have legal language. And if we can't trust you with 4 years, then we'll sit back down to 2. I think this is a sort of fact of life in this relationship right now. They have said that they are holding and making any formal position on the 2-year contract. They indicated that they might want to explore other numbers. So let's get down to the reaction to the rest of these proposals that we made. And keep in mind, they went through this list very quickly, and every time we tried to have to stop them and get them to give a reason, and we'll get into their reasons. So they rejected a proposal to create some protection for if they expand the hospital facilities, that the union will follow suit and expand into those facilities. They said no. They rejected a proposal about some structuring for incentive pay to try and help get more coverage in. They said no. They rejected some language we put in about management rights. Obviously, they're going to reject any language about management rights. They rejected a proposal about, helping to secure orientation. They've been doing a lot of stuff to move orientations around to make it harder for union delegates who do the union portion of orientation to attend. So newer employees are missing those union orientations. Obviously, there's obviously why they would want to reject that. They rejected a penalty that we proposed for when they are late paying the dues they've collected from you, the members, when they're late to paying that to the union, right? That is your money that is supposed to go right to the union. There have been a couple instances where they have failed to do that in a timely manner. Something to keep in mind is every time they hold on to money like that, they can make money off that money, right? That money can be used in investments and help, shore up against loans and things like that. So they rejected the penalties. They don't feel that it's an issue. They rejected any language regarding, discharge and discipline. So, we felt that they've been really moving the ball around, moving the goalposts around on, the way they come down on, certain things like board infractions and things like that. And they're just kind of freewheeling with some of this language. And they rejected that out hand. They rejected a layoff notice increase. This was, just giving 30 days to someone before they were to be laid off. They rejected a proposal to create some transparency for shift select and how it works. They said that this proposal is related to something that happened in Kent and has no bearing in Butler Hospital. I don't understand why that would be, but they rejected translating the contract. We said that as part of the package of combining all the contracts, this opens up the opportunity to create, some contract, like some copies of the contract that are translated into Spanish or Portuguese for, there's a substantial amount of members whose that's their first language. And yes, they can speak and read in English, but it's a lot easier when it's in your first language. If we're making one contract, that lowers the burden of producing, just some extra copies. They rejected that at wholesale. They will not entertain any possibility of creating translations. So they rejected some protections to employees when a unit is closed. That would help, help soften the blow of them having to all float at once to wherever. They rejected vacation scheduling language. They rejected all board, all checks board related changes. We had some about like acuity, splitting the board, things like that. They said, no way. They rejected protections for domestic partners. Obviously there's a lot of chaos right now from the federal government. So we just wanted some protections for, all domestic partnerships to continue receiving benefits as domestic partners. We asked them to step up a little bit. They said, no, thanks. Surprise, surprise. They rejected any sort of language about them remaining neutral during, like bargaining elections, like departments that want to join the union, things like that. And they rejected a proposal to make like a small space available with computers for employees to access. I don't know why a small little computer lab would be such a huge burden to them, but they said, no, thanks. You can do it while you're working, but also you can't because we'll yell at you and, mark you up. And, if you work in dietary or housekeeping, it's just really hard to get on a computer. So that was their sort of reaction to a lot of the proposals was no. When asked why, it's often, oh, we don't want to, no thanks. We respect that you think that's a problem, but we don't. That's actually a line we heard quite a lot was, we respect your position, we reject your proposal. I don't know what there is left to respect if, you're not having a dialogue about any of this stuff. You're just saying no thank you. But so they are holding off on having a position for the very robust language and proposals we had around education, training fund, tuition reimbursement. These things have had some significant issues that we had language to address, and we also wanted to expand some of them to help fill out, the upward mobility of our members. So we'll see. Maybe they're just taking their time to say no to that too, but we'll see. We do have some good ground that we're covering. There's a couple things we really, big giant things that we're agreeing on. We agree that in some of the older language where it says like his or her, like referring to a member, we're going to use their. So big time movement. We also are agreed to get rid of some really old arbitration language that listed out, arbiters who are probably, retired or even perhaps resting in Swan Point Cemetery. So, huge movement, really getting a lot done. So that brings us to our reaction to their proposals. They had 4 proposals, real extensive stuff. They wanted to extend the probationary period for per diems and part-times to 180 days. We've rejected this with the, I'm sorry, we didn't reject this. We are holding on this. This language is very vague. This would cover everyone who is like, just a few shifts a month to 72-hour a pay period workers. And just saying you have an extra 3 months of probation. So we feel that it's not really, they didn't put a lot of work into this, in my opinion. I said that a couple of times. It doesn't feel like they really thought about this much. I can kind of see the issue they're having maybe with like, per diems who like after they finish training only work a few times before they're out of probation. Okay, right? So wouldn't you want something that addresses that issue more? But they were pretty vague about why they even wanted this. It seems like they just want to extend this probation. So we said that we're going to hold on this until we've heard back about all the, what their take is on all the actual stuff we asked them to invest in making workers better, like the education training fund reimbursement that they are holding off on completely. So they said, well, we can talk about that when you talk to us about, you know, what you're willing to invest in actually making workers better, not just, firing people all the time. Um, we rejected a counter proposal that they made to a proposal that we made. So um, it was a proposal. We made a proposal about uh, uh, when someone leaves and comes back within enough time. I think we said 18 months, that they could still keep their wage and um, like pension, the economic portion of like seniority, just the economic stuff that, you know, um, they come back at the same rate. They can come, they're still just as vested in the pension. Good. Um, and vacation day accruals and stuff like that. Um, they counter proposed that it would also include unit seniority. Um, this we feel like was really just done in their hopes to help create probably more arguments, right? So that way someone leaves, comes back, uh, but would still be, at a higher like unit seniority for bidding for, positions or vacation days and things like that. I think this is sort of a Trojan horse to try and cause more discord amongst staff. Because yeah, I mean, like seniority is an objective measure of, for some of these things that would normally get handled by favoritism. Who gets days off and who gets what positions and things like that. But it's not like a perfect system where everyone's happy all the time. And I think they're trying to create more enmity by enforcing this unit seniority system. Unit seniority is meant to help keep people from leaving, right? That's its job, and this would really undermine its value. It doesn't affect anyone else if you're staying at the same rate or you're still getting your vacation day accruals and stuff. But it does when it comes to you coming back and then picking up overtime over people who stayed. I think they're hoping to have those arguments. I think we're a little stronger than that, but it's just, I don't know, it was very silly. Um, uh, we rejected a proposal they had about like creating a minimum amount, a cap for getting a notice about sick time buybacks. They said if you have 8 or less hours of sick time, that you shouldn't be notified uh, that you are applicable for sick time buyback. I mean, of course we rejected this. We've had nothing but issues with sick time buyback. We've had multiple grievances over this. It's been a mess. Payroll has continues to just sort of reimagine what sick time buybacks rules are. They just lie and make up things. It's been a catastrophe. Um, uh, you know, quite frankly, everyone should just be noticed for every sick time buyback, even if they have 0 hours. But so yeah, we rejected this. Um, and then we rejected their proposal for moving the time that you get payroll errors in from, so we currently have it at Tuesday, 8 a.m. They want to move it back to Monday, 2 p.m. Not a huge change, but what I think the purpose of this, they said this is so that way people can get their checks faster. I think the purpose of this is to close the window when you can, put in a payroll error, right? They've already moved payday back to Friday, helping to close that gap a little bit. You know, in the current way we have it, you have the whole business day of Monday, right? So first, second, and third shift will have gotten a chance to come into work, get on their computer, look at iCare, you know, and check out their paycheck. Notice, oh geez, they didn't put in, this overtime that I picked up, and then get that notice in before 8 a.m. of the Tuesday. So we rejected this, and that's the thing, right? Is that obviously this is a day of just rejections, right? You know, we explain, you know, why we're rejecting these things. We took an extensive amount of time. They had 4 proposals. It took just as long for us to get through our rejections because we took the time to explain our rejections, right? Why these are not really in the interests of the hospital and its members. But every time we'd go through, their rejections, we don't have to. We don't think this is a problem. You hear that a lot. We don't think this is a problem, and it's just very clear that they're not taking this very seriously. I mean, they had a number of things. They said, well, we're holding on this. We're gonna have a counter proposal. We're holding on this, and it's like we've had these proposals since last Wednesday. You know, we we went through your proposals, we figured them all out, and there's 32 of us. We have to get to this 6 of them. I understand you have to go back to all your managers and stuff, but this is absurd. It's a very fundamental lack of respect for us, for all of us. Just you know, when it's a problem for us, it's not a problem. We don't feel it's a problem. Show us the data on it being a problem, and uh, it's tough. It's tough to really to be a human and to sit across from another human and just have them say, I don't care. I don't care what you got going on. I don't care what you got to say. You know, we could have this all settled, this week, realistically, once we get everything in. But it's tough to see the way through at this point. I understand, they're never really going to take it seriously until we're really closer to the expiration of the contract. But no feedback, right? Nothing for us to work on. I mean, it's just no, or we're not prepared even after 2 weekdays and the entire weekend. We're not prepared to talk about it. Since that's well, I don't know what to tell you from that. It's not a good theme for sure, if they want to continue this way. Um, and I mean, one of the issues I really feel like we're hitting into is we're sitting across from 6 people. There's 32 of us representing like everywhere in the hospital. Um, and there's 6 people, and only 3 of them work at Butler Hospital. It's Lisa Kilduff, Idri, and Scott. The lawyer, and then 2 C&E people or whatever they are. They don't work here, and I mean they have no understanding. Whenever we bring up, well, oh well, doesn't this department do this way? And they said we'll have to get back to you on that. It's like, yeah, okay, why? Why can't you know what's going on? Why can't you have people who know what's going on? But they don't. And I think that's a big indicator is that they're not really taking this very seriously. This new law firm is, I think, very dismissive of the fact that we are a union. I don't think that they really want to acknowledge that we are one. It's disheartening, I suppose. Not really. I mean, I'm not disheartened. I don't think anyone should be disheartened, but you can shake your head. you know. Um, but yeah, so this has been my update. I think Thursday's video, should I do one, is going to be a bit more exciting. Um, we'll see. I hope you all are doing well, and you have a great week.